Hey there, this is Clay with modernlove.life, and this is Relationship Inner Game. Now, in this video, I'm going to be talking about the topic of texting your ex. And I know that there are a lot of people out there who are looking for magic text messages to send to your ex and word-for-word scripts that you can just send your ex. And that's not really what you're going to get here, because ultimately that kind of stuff doesn't really work. Sure, it might get you to the next step, but you're still not going to know what to do when your ex texts you back, or when things go off script, or when you just run out of magic words to use or say. What instead I'm going to do is I'm going to equip you with a few basic principles and a few things to keep in mind when you are interacting with your ex. Now, the second thing I want you to understand about this video and what I'm going to be sharing with you is that this is all within the context of understanding your ex's emotional state and you really developing your own emotional state to best connect with your ex, okay? This means that you are aware of what your ex's experience in the present moment is. You're able to empathize with your ex's experience. You're able to have composure, to know what you want without having to collapse or posture, and you're able to express yourself relatively clearly, okay? So this is all within that context. If you are just sort of, flying blind or something like that, then what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to watch some of our other videos on the topic of really understanding your ex's emotional state and connecting with them on an emotional level. So with that being said, there are a couple of things to keep in mind when it does come to texting your ex. And all of this stuff really can also relate to emailing your ex, writing your ex a Facebook message, sending your ex a letter, calling your ex on the phone, or anything else like that. But this is specifically, we're going to be using texting as the example here because a lot of people seem to enjoy texting or like the idea of texting their ex. So the first issue that you might experience when it comes to texting your ex is that your ex may not respond, or they may not respond right away, or they may not respond in a meaningful way. And there are a couple of reasons why this might be. And this is what this particular video is going to be about. The first thing that you might be doing that could inadvertently be discouraging your ex from actually responding to you or interacting with you is that you're just frankly sending them too much information, too much content. This is what we often call the wall of text. So oftentimes people, when they are first reaching out to their ex or contacting their ex or even emailing their ex, they will often pour their heart out onto the screen or onto the page or onto the little box where you type in your text. And they'll just go. They'll just talk about everything that they're feeling, everything that they're experiencing, and they'll just go and they'll just go and they'll just go. And then when they finally hit send, it goes off, and then their ex receives it, and it's just this giant wall of text, this block of text, and there's just no space for the eye to rest. It's just one enormous wall. And number one, it looks very difficult to read, and number two, it's full of emotionally heavy language, okay? And this is very difficult for your ex to go through and your ex to read because number one, it is very difficult. There's very little space for the eye to rest. And number two, it's also very emotionally difficult because you're talking about these heavy feelings that you're having, these deep experiences that you're having, and many times at the end, number three, there is a very big ask at the end, like, so will you please consider giving me another chance? Or will you please consider getting back together with me? Or something along those lines. And what happens when your ex receives the wall of text is that they kind of shut down emotionally and are looking for an excuse to not respond to it. They might procrastinate, they might put it off, they might do something along those lines. And so I recommend that you don't use the wall of text when you are talking to your ex. Mistake number two that people often make that keeps their ex from responding to them or keeps their ex from wanting to text them back is that they often don't really ask a meaningful or substantial question, right? They often just end their text message with "hope you're well," or "what's new," or "how's it going," or something like that. And this is not really a very good idea when it comes to creating the context for an emotional interaction, for a real conversation. Because first of all, if you don't actually have a question, if it just ends with "hope you're doing well," or something like that, your ex may not even think that you want them to respond, right? If you don't actually have a question, your ex might think, oh, well, they're just sending me something. They don't actually want me to respond. They're just giving me some sort of update. They're not asking anything in particular. And so they might just think that you don't need a response from them. And the second reason why that's not a great idea is because if you are just sending them a vague question like, what's new, how's it going, something along those lines, that has a similar effect. Because in our culture, in our society, for lack of anything better, we use these questions as basically a placeholder for a greeting. How you doing? What's up? How's it going? What's new? Things like that. You know, we often have these just throwaway phrases that we use in our day-to-day life, such as when we're talking to the barista at the coffee shop and there's a line of people behind us that's, 10 or 20 people long, and the barista just says, hey, what's going on, right? They don't actually care how your day is going. They don't actually care what is going on with you. They're just saying that as a greeting, right? You're supposed to just say, oh, not too much. Oh, it's Monday. Oh, I'm doing good. You're not supposed to actually tell them how your actual day is going, how you actually feel. It's just a greeting, right? And so if your ex receives a question like this from you, they might not actually see any need to respond. It might just seem something like, hey, what's up? What's new? How's it going? It could just be like, hello, right? If you even ask them that sort of question, it can often not really inspire them to respond just because it is a throwaway kind of phrase that we use in our society. The third mistake that people make when texting their ex is that they don't ask specific questions. So kind of building off and kind of the other side of that particular question or that last particular point is that you may not be asking your ex specific questions that really inspire them to respond. So questions such as, how's it going, what's new? Those are obviously bad, like we just talked about, but questions that actually do inspire them to respond are things like, what was the last thing that made you smile? How was your weekend? And that's kind of a little bit iffy, but it is a little bit more specific and it does inspire them to respond a little bit more. Or here's what I had for lunch. What did you have for lunch? Or guess where I am, attached with a photo, or something like that. Those sorts of things are small asks and they are easy to answer for your ex. So those sorts of things are great for getting a conversation going and getting your ex engaged with you. Now, the fourth thing that actually stops your ex from responding is when you are relationship focused. Your motive for texting them is really to try to save the relationship. The reason that you are sending them a text message is to get them to want to get back together into a relationship with you. And I hate to say this because it's going to burst a lot of people's bubble, but you cannot get back together with your ex solely over text message, okay? You have to actually have a significant emotional interaction and connection with them. And chances are you're probably gonna have to, have a actual phone call with them where they can hear your voice or see your face, or face-to-face meetup where the two of you can actually interact, go out on some sort of date, build actual experiences. Your ex probably is not going to get back together with you just because you sent the right text message off to them or something like that. So you have to understand that the purpose of texting your ex is not to get them back, but instead you want to simply just build a connection. So if you can shift from being relationship focused to being connection focused, that is going to help you immensely, because when you are relationship focused, you're going to ask your ex things like, hey, would you ever consider getting back together with it? Please give me another chance. I promise I'll change. I've been waiting eagerly for a reply. I'll continue to wait till the end of time, or things like that. And those sorts of things are going to make your ex want to pull away from you. However, if you are simply connection focused, if you're simply just wanting to interact in the present moment, then your ex is going to be much more likely to want to open up and share with you, because you are not bringing this sort of ulterior motive, this sort of hidden agenda to the interactions, right? If you have this hidden agenda of, hey, I'm texting you because I want to get back together with you so that I can feel good. I don't care how you feel. I don't care what your thoughts are. I don't care about any of that. I just want to get back together with you so that I feel good again. Then your ex is not going to want to interact with you. They're going to pull away. This is something we've talked about in some of our other videos, okay? So be connection focused, not relationship focused. And the fifth thing that might stop your ex from actually wanting to text you back is that you simply aren't calibrated to where they're at emotionally. Now, it should be pretty obvious, but everybody has an emotional sort of thermometer that goes up and down throughout the day. You know, sometimes you're feeling great, sometimes you're feeling okay, sometimes you're feeling kind of low. And it often depends on maybe what's happening outside of you, maybe the thoughts that you're having in your mind, or other sorts of experiences that you have throughout the day. And this is what kind of changes throughout the day, is your emotional temperature. And the same is true with your ex. And if you aren't really meeting your ex where their emotional temperature is at, they're going to think there's a great deal of disconnect. You know, maybe your ex is down here feeling really lousy because they're heartbroken over the breakup. And maybe you're coming up here trying to pretend to be happy and excited all the time. And if you're like, hey, life is great, I love everything, what's the best thing that happened to you today? And they're like down here and they're like, man, screw you, we have nothing in common, I don't want to interact with you. You know, that's going to really screw things up in terms of making them want to respond to you. So the important thing to do is to start to calibrate to where your ex is at emotionally. So it's important to start by sending them a small message and kind of see what their response is. And based off of that response, you can start to understand and start to put together a picture about where their emotional state might be. So have a small investment and then meet that investment with whatever they get back, and then you can kind of start to build a sort of picture about where they might be emotionally based off of that response through the back and forth of the dialogue. And so you can kind of say, okay, so I'm here, I'm gonna text them and they're over here, okay, they're down here, maybe I'll drop it down a little bit, and then it seems like, oh, actually they're up here, so I'll raise it up a little bit, and then you'll kind of start to zero in on exactly where they are, right? And that's really the secret to calibrating to where your ex is at emotionally. Now, of course, like I told you before, all of these things that we've just gone over are within the context of being able to create good, positive emotional interactions with your ex. These aren't, you know, copy and paste, turn your brain off and just send out some script advice to help you get your ex back. You have to actually be able to feel into the moment so that your ex knows that they're getting back together with you, not with me because I did some sort of Cyrano de Bergerac kind of move with you or anything like that, but it has to be you because this is your relationship. This is not my relationship with your ex. This is your relationship. So you need to know your ex better than anyone else. You need to be able to feel into the interactions, and you need to be able to know better than me or any strange person on the internet what the right thing to say to your ex is, okay? And so if you want to be able to feel into the moment and really be able to handle situations like this, then here's what I'd like you to do. If you're watching this video on our website, modernlove.life, just head on down below this video and click on the link directly below this video. That'll take you over to another page on our website where I'll tell you specifically how you can build a solid emotional connection with your ex through media such as text messaging, email, Facebook, phone calls, face-to-face calls, video chats, in-person dates. And if you're watching this video over on YouTube, what you can do is you can go click down below in the description box. There is a link that'll take you over to another website called relationshipinnergame.com, and you can go ahead and fill out a short, quick, painless survey that should take you about 30 seconds, just giving me a little bit of background info on specifically what's going on with you and your ex and your breakup and all of that stuff. And based off of what you tell me, I'll send you some tips, advice, and strategies that will help you get back together with your ex, okay? So wherever you are, the place to go is down below. Just click down there. And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, please feel free to like, feel free to subscribe, and feel free to leave a comment down below letting me know what sorts of videos you'd like to see me make in the future. Anyway, this has been Clay with modernlove.life, and I hope that this has helped you improve your relationship inner game. Talk to you in the next video.